Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to give you my first impressions on the Magneto and Magic mini mid-month update. And I really have to call it a mini update, as petty as that sounds, because the update is very barren, and it just essentially is Magneto and Magic getting these upgraded uniforms and their ability to go to either tier 3 or, in Magneto's case, tier 4. There is a small Easter egg right now that you can check out in the archive event token page, where you can not only see the free icon that you get, the Luna Snow 2022 thank you gift icon, if you complete all of the other tokens by just playing the game the whole year round and collecting at least one token of each of these events, which includes the newest double Halloween holiday tokens. We also have a little bit of a teaser for what's coming next year, where we have the Dark Phoenix event tokens, which indicates that we're going to be getting a Dark Phoenix World Boss Legend event sort of thing with rewards like we did for Gore and Ultron earlier this year. That is cool. However, it does make me worried that the January update is going to be very far away, further away than usual. And that's why this is sort of there in the middle of 2023. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. The icon for Luna, you can see here, I already have it equipped. It's pretty cool. And she's like, 2022, I like that sort of stuff. But yeah, besides that, honestly, there's nothing else. There's just Magneto and Magic. So let's get into it. My overall impression of both of these uniforms is that they are rushed and they're not that good. I'll get into the finer details, of course, and we'll test these characters out, of course. Apologies for not having Magic Tier 3 to go already, but I only had 8 books after Tier 3ing Polaris a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago or something, so I'm a little bit behind on that. As for Magneto, I only got 25% on his second potential, so I'm still waiting for that. As far as the uniform options go for both of these characters, they could be better, but they could also be a lot worse. So I do think these are a win. In general, we have Blue Marvel, Iron Man Back to Basics, which is fantastic, X-Men Red Jean Grey, which is kind of crap, and then Hawkeye and Jessica Jones. And then for Magic, we have a similar situation where we do see a tier 4. We see Cersei, Rescue, the tier 4 being Moon Knight, and then we see Wolverine and Swordmaster. So decent optionals, not the best, not the worst, but certainly better than we've seen lately. However, here's why I don't really like these uniforms and why I think these uniforms are rushed. First of all, aesthetically, I don't feel like these uniforms really push the envelope very much. I know that MFF at this point is kind of a dated engine. I mean, the game originally came out in 2015, so we're talking 7-8 years now. But I still feel like the devs could have put more effort into these uniforms than they did. When I say devs, I mean like the art department. You know, there's just really not enough here to justify the cost. And then when you get into the finer details, you can see, for example, that there's no sort of shadows going through the sleeve on the hand for Magneto, so it's just this like weird dark purple color, and his hand is just sort of floating on top of that. Really breaks any sort of realism. And then if you look a little bit closer, you can see that his glove actually just blatantly clips through his coat on both hands. This is a really lazy piece of mesh work by whoever was doing this. And again, for a full cost uniform that you're expecting players to pick up because it's only available once a year, this kind of stuff is just completely unacceptable. Like this is just low effort. This is low effort rendering by whoever did this, and it's low level modeling, and it's just unacceptable for a game that's 8 years old, and it's unacceptable for the Marvel IP, period. I think this kind of stuff is just amateur, and it shouldn't be in the game. I know that it's like unavoidable sometimes, and there's like huge, you know, AAA budget video games on consoles that have clipping. I'm not saying that clipping itself is like amateur, but in this case, for this particular kind of clipping, it is pretty amateur. And then in Magic's case, honestly, it's just kind of more of the same. Like there is a little bit more detail. She has the chains on her belt and stuff, and there's some weight and some physics to it, and I like that as she's moving, it's kind of moving with her. But her hair, you can see her hair is just like brutally done. It's just like 3 pieces of a wig just sloppily pasted together. And then for whatever reason, the glow on her sword makes the handle part of the sword look really low res. That's kind of the first issue that I have. The second issue that I have with these uniforms from an aesthetic point of view, we'll talk about the gameplay, don't worry, is that they just don't look very good. Like they're like, okay, we're gonna do Christmas, but it's gonna be all gray and sad, and then we're just gonna do explosions. And we're going to use the explosions to cover up the fact that we don't really have a good animation here. The only cute part of the animation is that there's an X-Men logo at the top of the tree. But again, like I don't know. Then they just copied and pasted the 4th skill exactly. Like it's literally verbatim, the old 4th skill. The 2nd skill is kind of cute. He has like a metal snowflake that he crushes. That's kind of nice. And then the 5th skill is just like generic whatever orb with metal. It's okay, I guess. It's not bad. But again, it doesn't really seem... This doesn't really seem premium. This doesn't really seem holiday to me. I really feel like they could have put in more effort. And then for Magic here, there's a little bit more effort for Magic for sure. She has a pretty cool counterattack animation on her 2nd skill here once we get the AI turned on. You can see here, she does this pretty cool animation where she summons a bunch of limbo swords, right? However, take a look at her 3rd skill here. It's kind of similar. It's not exactly the same, but it's kind of similar. Okay. And the 2nd skill, they kind of got that from Marvel Future Evolution. Okay, true. What about her 4th skill? This one's just kind of generic. Again, I like the little demons that come out, and they're not summons. They're just demons that just come out as part of the skill. I think that's kind of cool. That actually looks pretty cool. And then her 5th skill, although it looks cool at the end, the beginning is very basic. The end is really cool. Really cool. This one feels like it has a lot more personality than Magneto's does for sure. But then I ask you, what part of this is holiday? So it's just like this really weird mishmash here where it's like they're both holiday uniforms. Magneto feels like it's a forced holiday uniform, whereas Magic feels like they just didn't try at all to make this feel like a holiday uniform. And I guess that's fine, but then why did you guys make it the holiday uniform, and why did you make it paywall, right? Not only did you do that, but you also did that to a character who you're not going to make very meta because she's only tier 3-able. So yeah, that's where I feel about them as far as the aesthetics go. As far as the performance goes, I'm pretty disappointed with Magneto's uniform at level 70. At tier 4, obviously it's going to be a different story. He's going to be competitive because he's tier 4 and there's only a handful of tier 4s. At level 80, he's obviously going to look better than all level 70 tier 3s, but that's, again, also just part of getting to level 80. So, yeah, this uniform at level 80 is good, but any character at level 80 is good because you compare them to level 70 characters, right? But yeah, that's the issue. The issues with Magneto are, you know, on the one hand, okay, to be fair, on the one hand, he has a lot of cancelable skills now. So you can do 3, 4, 5 right away. Easy cancel, easy proc. You absolutely can do that, which is great, right? You can just easy cancel 3, 4, 5, easy stuff. You can even do 2 delay 3, 4, 5, which is awesome, and you can get all those hits. You can actually even cancel the tier 3. So you could do 2 delay 6, 3, 4, 5, and you can get all those hits running. You can get like over 300 hits, over 400 hits, over 500 hits. You're like, oh man, that's crazy. And it is crazy. However, here's the bad news. For those of you that are like, oh man, Magneto's proc friendly now. That's amazing. His 5th skill has a 10-second cooldown. It's a 20-second cooldown, but even if you have max skill cooldown, it's 10 seconds. So guess what? Your 7-second proc, you have to wait an extra 3 seconds. That sucks. That means every minute you're wasting 15 seconds just for nothing, right? And I know what you're going to say, oh, if you have all that extra time to run around, why don't you use them with a Mighty Destruction? You can Google, you can YouTube search what that looks like because Puppet Titan uploaded a video. It's not very good. It's not very good. So it's disappointing because as much as you're like, yeah, he's proc friendly now, you're still going to want to end up using him with a rage because they gave him the guaranteed crit rate on Master of Magnetism now. They gave him that guaranteed crit rate, sorry, not Master of Magnetism, Magnetic Heart, was it? Or it's on his uniform. I don't know, somewhere on his uniform. They gave him guaranteed crit rate. And then the way that you play him ideally is to spam. Because what happens, I'll show you guys really quickly here. What happens if you play him with a proc is this is what's going to happen. And I'll show you guys here on this stage where I was testing him. You're going to do your first rotation, and that's really cool. And then you're going to have to just wait because 3 and 4 come off cooldown really quick, but 5 doesn't. And I really wish the devs would have fixed this because I feel like it's just an obvious mistake. So you're going to see here, I'm ready to do 3 and 4. Oh, but I have to just wait an extra few seconds for 5. And there we go. And you can choose to either cancel 5 into 6, or you can choose to do something else. But the issue is there's a multitude of issues. Because the 6th skill is now cancelable, you have a skill that's going to continue to deal damage for a long time. It has a very, very long animation. So because it has such a long animation, it's going to proc your next rotation. So his tier 3 actually, it screws him over. So although he is proc friendly, the way that his kit is built, it's not built for anything but a rage, which is really annoying because they still made him proc friendly. So I'm pretty annoyed with Magneto, to be honest. He's also just straight up mid at level 70. Like I said, level 80 is going to be a different story. Obviously, tier 4 is going to be a different story. I'm not commenting on that. But at level 70, he does not impress me. So if you're not intending to take him to level 80, if you're not intending to take him to tier 4, this uniform, in my opinion, is a straight up skip. You're buying this uniform for what, the 5%? Right? He does more damage, sure, but not enough to where it's like noticeable and like very important for these stages, because you already have Polaris, you already have Storm, you already have Jean Grey. What do you need Magneto for, right? There's no blast mutant villain world boss legend stages. It is, however, important to get Magneto if you're into ABX and ABL. That's a no-brainer. You have to get him if you're into ABX and ABL, because he's going to be as good or better than Superior Iron Man and Mephisto. But for everybody else, you could probably skip it. In Magic's case, there's just no way, right? You just look at her base stats, and there's just no way that she's going to be able to compete with 26,000 HP and 6,000 physical defense and 8,000 energy defense. How can she compete with Jean Grey and these other characters in PvP? She just can't. I already have players telling me, like MFF Doom, who's such a helpful resource to the community, especially for things like Alliance Conquest, that she's only made for Alliance Conquest. You're telling me a paywall uniform is only made for Alliance Conquest? That's a huge mistake. Huge mistake on the dev's part. And again, she just has a very wonky rotation, not like Magneto does. She has less cancelable skills, and it's just to the point where you can't really use a proc with her at all. You'd have to use a rage as well, because let's look at this. You can cancel 3. You can cancel 3. So 3 is essentially her only cancelable skill. With 5, you can't cancel it until she slams down. Then you can cancel. So there's no way you're ever going to land a proc. The best you could hope for is to do 3, delayed cancel 4, and you want to do 4 first because it has that crazy 80% all attack, and then do 5. But again, your 5 is going to be so late that by the time you get it to land, your proc is already done, or it's almost done, because it has such a long windup before those hands come out. So yeah, just not liking her design. I believe her tier 3 is also cancelable once she slams down, but again, has to slam down in order for that to be the case. And in the meantime, you're going to proc early. So yeah, I think she's not proc friendly at all, but I don't think she's going to be very useful for any game modes, in my opinion. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But right now, I'm pretty disappointed in both of these characters. I think this is the worst seasonal uniforms we've had since Gwenpool and Deadpool. Sadly, that was also this year. So we're probably starting to see the signs of failure from the devs who are trying to push out too many seasonal uniforms. And they're basically just getting lazy at this point, and they're like, you know what? We were going to make these regular uniforms. Let's just make them seasonal. And there's nothing special about them. There's nothing, really that makes you feel like, wow, these are seasonal uniforms. They're just uniforms that they had stored away somewhere, that they had designed at some point, and they just pulled them, blowed the dust off, and then said, you know what? We're just going to slap a premium sticker on this and just put it out there, right? It just doesn't feel premium anymore. Like, it was, listen, again, by today's standards, obviously the power creep is completely different now, but if you remember, if you played the game when this uniform came out, this uniform was broken OP. It was so strong, and it justified the price tag. It's like, yeah, you got to pay 20, 30 bucks for this, but she's completely obliterating content. Not the case anymore. Not the case anymore. So yeah, I think this one's a miss. I think this is a big fat miss from the devs. I'll do another video where I rank all of the holiday uniforms that you can pick up right now, because a lot of people have been asking me questions about White Fox, Black Cat, Kingpin. I'll go through all of that. But right now, without further testing to really shake up my opinion, I'm not happy with Magneto or Magic. But yeah, that's just me. Hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for all the support on the live stream last night. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, etc. and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.